When a woman cheats, it doesn't just break your trust. It feels like it shatters you from the inside out. The shock, the anger,
The shame.
the endless questions that keep you awake at night. Why her? Why me? Was I not enough? Listen to me carefully. Her betrayal does not define you. What defines you is what you do next. Too many men stay stuck in the cycle of begging, replaying the betrayal, and slowly destroying themselves. That ends today. I'm Jane, and I've seen this story 100 times. I've sat with men who thought they'd never recover, and I've seen them rise stronger than ever. Today, I'm giving you the 5 steps every man must take to heal when she cheats. Not to stay broken, not to chase her, but to rebuild your strength, your identity, and your future. Subscribe right now, because this is where men stop being victims and start being kings. Step 1. Cut off the fantasy. The first step is brutal but necessary. You have to stop living in the fantasy. Here's what most men do. They replay the good memories. The laughter, the intimacy, the trips, the moments when she looked at you like you were her world. You replay them like a highlight reel, and it convinces you that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't real betrayal. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was your fault. Maybe she'll change. That is the trap. You have to face this truth. Cheating is never an accident. It's a choice. A conscious choice that required planning, secrecy, and deception. She didn't just slip. She didn't trip and fall into someone else's arms. She chose to betray you. When you replay the fantasy, you let her betrayal live rent-free in your head. And worse, you start making excuses for her. You tell yourself things like, but she was stressed, but I was busy, but our marriage wasn't perfect. Stop. Stop trying to rewrite the truth. Stop holding on to the mask she showed you. Stop romanticizing a woman who already disrespected you. Here's what happens when you cut off the fantasy. You create space for reality. And reality, as painful as it is, sets you free. Because only when you face the truth can you start to heal. Punchline: she made her choice. Now make yours. Pay attention to this. Step 2. Decide, forgive or release. This is the fork in the road, and too many men get stuck here. You've discovered the betrayal. You've cut off the fantasy. Now you have one decision to make. Do you forgive, or do you release? Forgiveness doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes forgiveness means letting go. And release doesn't always mean hate. Sometimes release means peace. The worst thing you can do is stay in limbo. Because when you're stuck in maybe, you're slowly bleeding yourself dry. You're neither moving forward nor rebuilding. You're just circling the wound. So you must decide. If you choose to forgive and rebuild, then the conditions must be strict and non-negotiable. She takes responsibility. She cuts off all contact with the other man. She submits to radical transparency. And most importantly, she does the work to regain your trust. Not just with words, but with consistent actions over time. If you choose to release, then you release completely. No midnight texts. No peeking at her social media. No answering her calls just to hear her voice. Release means cutting the cord, emotionally, physically, mentally. Both choices take strength. Both choices take clarity. But indecision? Indecision is poison. Punchline: forgiveness is freedom. Sometimes that means letting go. Pay attention to this. And this is just the beginning. In the next section, we'll go deeper. Because once you've cut the fantasy and made your decision, the real battle begins. Facing the pain head-on instead of running from it.
Keep watching.
Step 3. Face the pain, don't numb it. Now we come to the hardest part. Once the fantasy is gone and the decision is made, you're left with raw, unfiltered pain. And here's what most men do: they run. They bury themselves in work, in drinking, in rebound relationships, in endless scrolling, anything to avoid feeling it. But listen carefully. Pain avoided is pain multiplied. If you don't face the pain now, it will follow you into every corner of your life. It'll show up in your next relationship. It'll poison your friendships. It'll even bleed into your work and health. So instead of running from the pain, you lean into it. You admit it hurts. You admit you're angry. You admit you feel humiliated, betrayed, even broken. That honesty is the start of healing. Let me tell you a story. I knew a man who discovered his wife's affair after 20 years. He tried to brush it off, told himself he was fine, poured himself into his business. But at night, the anger kept him awake. 6 months later, he was 30 pounds heavier, addicted to pills, and completely burned out.
Why?
Because he refused to face the pain. Contrast that with another man I coached. He discovered his girlfriend's betrayal, and instead of numbing it, he went all in on confronting it. Therapy, journaling every day, long runs to burn out the anger, honest conversations with friends, and yes, nights where he broke down and cried instead of bottling it up. Within a year, he wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. The difference? One ran, the other faced it. So here's the rule. Don't numb, don't hide, don't pretend. Pain is like fire. If you let it burn uncontrolled, it destroys you. But if you face it, it forges you. Punchline, feel it to heal it. Pay attention to this. Step 4. Reclaim your power. Cheating doesn't just attack your heart, it attacks your power. Suddenly, you feel like you've lost control of your life. She lied. She betrayed. She disrespected. And if you're not careful, that wound turns you into a man who doubts himself, who second-guesses, who loses his edge. That's why this step is about reclaiming your power.
How?
By rebuilding the habits and structures that remind you who you are. Start with your body. Hit the gym. Take long walks. Train in martial arts. Do push-ups in your living room if you have to.
Why?
Because physical strength reignites mental strength. Every rep says, I am still here. I am still strong. I am not broken. Next, reclaim your discipline. When betrayal hits, chaos follows. Your routines crumble. You skip work. You lose focus. That chaos steals your confidence. So you bring back structure. Wake up at a set time. Make your bed.
Plan your day.
Small wins build momentum, and momentum builds power. Then, reclaim your voice. Betrayal can silence a man. You stop speaking up. You stop setting boundaries. You start walking on eggshells.
That ends now.
Reclaiming power means speaking your truth, saying no when you need to, calling out disrespect, demanding the standards you live by. Finally, reclaim your vision. A man without vision becomes a man without direction. And when you have no direction, betrayal defines you. But when you set a new vision, new goals, new dreams, new missions, betrayal becomes just one chapter, not your whole book. Let me tell you the truth. Women can sense when a man has lost his power. They can also sense when a man is reclaiming it. And nothing is more magnetic, more unshakable, than a man who owns himself again. Punchline: a man with structure is a man with strength. Pay attention to this. At this point, you've faced the truth, you've made your decision, you've leaned into the pain, and you've started to reclaim your power. Step 5. Build your future. Don't carry her ghost. Here's the final step, and it's the one most men ignore. They cut the fantasy, they decide, they face the pain, they even reclaim their power, but then they stay haunted. They drag her ghost into every new relationship, every new friendship, every new opportunity. That's why this step is about building your future without carrying her shadow. How do you do that? First, stop rehearsing the betrayal. The more you replay what she did, the more you chain yourself to it. Every time you go back over the details, you reopen the wound. Yes, learn the lesson. Yes, guard your standards. But don't live in replay mode. Second, redefine your standards. Betrayal hurts, but it also clarifies. Now you know what disrespect looks like. Now you know the early warning signs. Use that knowledge as armor, not as poison. From now on, you set the bar higher. Loyalty, respect, consistency. If a woman can't meet it, she doesn't get access. Third, create new meaning. Betrayal can become the chapter that ruined you, or the chapter that refined you. The choice is yours. You decide whether you walk bitter or better. You decide whether this breaks you or builds you. And here's the truth. The men who build meaning out of betrayal are the men who come out unshakable. Finally, build new dreams. The best revenge is not bitterness, it's success. New goals, new projects, new relationships built on clarity instead of blindness. When you pour energy into creating a future bigger than your past, the betrayal shrinks. It stops defining you. It just becomes a scar, not a prison. Punchline: don't live haunted. Live free. Pay attention to this. Men, hear me clearly. Her betrayal was her choice, not your failure. You didn't lose because she cheated. You only lose if you stay broken, if you keep begging, if you keep carrying her ghost. The truth is simple. Love is not supposed to hide, lie, and betray. Real love shows up. Real love protects. Real love commits. And if she couldn't give you that, then she was never your future. So stop chasing her. Stop doubting yourself. Stop wasting years bleeding over someone who already walked away. Choose yourself.
Heal.
Rebuild. Become stronger than the pain. And remember, you're not alone in this. Thousands of men are waking up, reclaiming their power, and refusing to settle for betrayal disguised as love. If you're ready to be part of that movement, hit subscribe right now. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Tell me your decision. Tell me how you're choosing yourself today. Because this isn't just content. This is a brotherhood. I'll leave you with this. Betrayal can break your heart, but it doesn't have to break your future. The next chapter is waiting. Write it with strength.